Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 218 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, the lovely Mr. Nick Manella, who is taking the internet by storm with his Game Boy internet predictions of NHL playoff games. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. You guys like those ones, huh?
Very creative. A
We had
lot
to
of
stick with the gaming trend. It worked for us the first night, and I was like, oh crap, well now I got to do another one of these. How do I top that one? And I think I still like the Game Boy one a little bit better than the PlayStation one, but glad it worked and glad you guys enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think the videos are getting more and more creative as we go along, which I think is a fun little thing. And up tonight will be Mr. McCain Vogel. Mac, how we doing?
Doing good. Yeah, I have no idea. I gotta think quick. My picks are due very soon before these games start here. But it's gonna be pretty much impossible to catch up and top what Nick has done. It's been pretty cool to see.
Honestly, my favorite is the one you did, Mac, where Jules is knocking on the door, and
Yeah.
it still blows my mind how you changed jerseys so fast.
Well, you guys know I had one underneath the other, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. But still,
yeah. I mean, yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
That's kind of what started the whole thing of like getting a little more creative with them, which has
Oh,
been fun.
absolutely.
this is also probably our last night where we might have two games. So the that EB goal scorer parlay, we're up to try number 19. Hopefully we nail that
I
tonight. We'll see what
really thought
happens.
we had it last night. I
But the
really
nice
did.
thing is, do we want to tell the listeners who's in charge of that tonight? Because it's not us for once. We can
Yep.
outsource this one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a dad's edition. So we're letting the dads of each of us pick the goal scorer for tonight. You will definitely see something on Twitter, so keep that in mind.
By the way,
Uh,
none of the dads know this at this time.
Yeah.
yeah, it should be a fun one. So we are gonna go dive into the Rangers Hurricanes game that ended last night, preview some games tonight on Friday. We got a couple big game sixes coming up here. Hopefully we can force some game sevens. So you guys can also get your bets in our little bit of previews, and then we'll get you all on out of here and we'll enjoy the weekend. But before we get to the Rangers Hurricanes recap, I know Nick has a word from Kane Footwear.
That's all right. You guys have heard my lovely little spiel about Kane footwear for the last couple weeks, but I'm going to freeball this one. The EB boys are getting together for a beach trip in the beginning of June, and just want to say shout out to Kane footwear for keeping us not only comfortable, but stylish while we're on the beach as well. So head to the link in our bio to get a pair of the most recovery shoes you'll ever own.
Been wearing them to the beach while I'm down here. They're great. We wash them down with the hose. You're all good to go.
It's amazing.
All right, let's dive into it. A pretty epic game six last night with a lot of implications on the line, but the Rangers end up taking down the Carolina Hurricanes in six games and take game six on the road to rip the hearts out of the Hurricanes fans with an enormous comeback and a 5-3 win. Before we go into all the juiciness of that game, initial impressions, thoughts, comments, concerns.
Well, that was a super entertaining game, first of all. I mean, to me, right away, that's one that just, if you're a Canes fan, that immediately gets cemented in your brain as like, I'm never forgetting this one. I hate the Rangers. I hate Chris Kreider. Like that. It made me think back to all the like Caps horrible losses I had to suffer at the hands of the Rangers, Penguins, Canadians, you name it. But it's just one of those all-time series. It almost would have been better, right, if they just got swept. But no, they had to give their fan base some hope and really gave them some hope. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was going seven after like two periods of hockey. I was like, the Rangers are not winning this game. And then Kreider just came out and did his thing. So
They got Kreidered. That's the way you kind of have to look at it. And I feel like obviously as Caps fans, we know this, but if you're a team in the East or a team in the Metro and you're going to play the Rangers in the playoffs, this is going to happen to you at some point. Like this guy is one of the most clutch playoff performers of all time. He's going to win a game for the Rangers like this. He's going to get an overtime winner, like a double OT, triple OT kind of thing. This is just what this man does. But the bottom line, I think it has to be looked at as a Canes playoff collapse. I mean, the bottom line is they kind of bottled the series from the beginning. Yeah, they fought their way back into it, but if you want a chance to advance to the conference finals, you can't go down 0-3 to the Rangers. That's just a deficit that you're never going to make up.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Not to throw all the blame on Freddie, but kind of can't blow that lead with 10 minutes left. I'm just going to be honest.
The first goal is a little like that's like a casual like Monday night, middle of November kind of play, not a because he pulls away from the post to try and like expose the puck so he can see where it is to cover it. But he just had no sense of urgency. He's just like, yeah, where is this? Oh, it's in the back of the net. Okay.
Think that's a great way to put it is it's a regular season kind of play. You kind of just have to eliminate those in your game in the Stanley Cup playoffs going forward. Do you think goaltending something that this team addresses in the offseason? Because they've got a lot of decisions to make with that lineup.
I think they need to go out and get an ace. I don't know. I mean, like if you look at their team's always good, but what ends up happening is they either can't score or they can't get the saves. I
Or
don't know.
Freddie's hurt.
Or Freddie's
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah,
I
I
don't
couldn't
have
tell.
Freddie's contract in front of me, so I'm not sure. But
I
seems
do
like
not either.
he's been there for a little bit.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the thing with him that you kind of have to look at, and I don't want to shit on the guy. I mean, he did play great after, missing a decent amount of time this year, but that's the narrative with him is he misses a ton of time and then tries to come back and get
Yeah.
up to speed as fast as possible. I don't know if that's a viable option for the Carolina Hurricanes going into next year. I don't know if you're ready to go full time with Kochetkov or what you want to do there, but it's definitely something that they're going to have to look at.
Yeah.
half that team is going to free agency. If you want to look at the list, you can easily Google it on Cap Friendly. But just to kind of go into the weeds of the game, Natchez, Jarvis, Aho, all those three guys get on the board, tickle the twine, help the Canes get a 3-1 lead going into second intermission. That lone goal for the Rangers was by Trocheck. I want to shout out Mark Corderaro. He texted me that morning. I sent you guys a screenshot. He said, I'm feeling it in my gonads. Trocheck is scoring. I said, I'm not going to question that. So nice little hit on that. And then you know what? I was texting our buddy Marty, who is a big Hurricanes fan, and that Martinook save when the Canes had the lead. I thought that was the start of like the championship DVD where they push it 7
Right.
and they win, and look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, absolute glue play, probably like defensive play. I don't want to call it save of the postseason because I think the Bob one is still insane, but
Yeah.
probably like defense save by a forward of the postseason. Let's put it that way. Those are the kind of like guys that you absolutely need in your locker room if you want to be successful in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I was talking to Marty a little bit this morning, did a little wellness check to see how he's doing right now. I think this one and Mac, you nailed it. Like this one is that one. It stings. And he knows it. And he's like, this sucks. He even said he's like, you know what? I never like fell in love with the Caps, to be honest. So I never had like this kind of reaction to a playoff loss. He's like, this one hurts. This one sucks. I get it, man. It's gonna sting for a while.
He's smiling ear to ear in his overpriced truck right now, thinking that we're talking about him and his fandom. But yeah, I saw that save. I was like, oh, Canes are gonna win. And I texted you guys. I was beat last night. I ended up falling asleep at the second intermission, and I woke up to the sound of my mother, who was like, she didn't say the F word, but she was like, frick, Chris Kreider again. And I was like, I woke up, I was like, what's going on? I look at the scoreboard, I'm like, how's it 4-3? She's like, Kreider scored a hat trick. And I was like, perfect. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. But yeah, Chris Kreider, he scored a natural hat trick in the final 10 minutes of the third period, according to my sources, aka Mr. Mark Corderaro. He is the first Ranger to do that since Mr. Messier in Game 6 of the famous 1994 Cup run year. So this has
Is that
a
the guarantee game?
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This has a lot of what's the right word? A lot of parallels to 94
Yeah.
with this Rangers team.
Yeah, Biz said it after the game. He was like, I really don't want to say this out loud, but it's feeling like the Rangers might be the team of destiny.
It's certainly starting to shape up that way. And then Goodrow buries the empty netter. So the Rangers are off to the third round. I think they were just there 2 years ago when they played Tampa, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So they will play the winner of that Florida Boston series, who has Game 6 tonight. We're recording this before then, so
To me, I don't know. We'll get into it more in a sec, but to me, I think if Boston wins that series, Rangers are going to the Cup. I think if the Panthers win, there's a chance that that we get a series there. I don't. I think if you're the Rangers, I know it's only good teams left at this point, but if you're the Rangers, I think you're licking your chops, praying you get this dinged up Boston team that you can just walk all over. I really think they would.
Even if they come back from down 3-1 against the Cats and flip the script on them, you're still leaning Cats have a better chance.
I think so. I think the Cats are just a deeper team that can roll four lines. You look at that. You look at that team on paper. Yeah, Swayman maybe is, but I mean Bob has been playing really good too.
That's true.
So yeah, I think they pose a way higher threat to the Rangers than the Bruins would.
That would be the proper Eastern Conference final, in my opinion. You could probably say those are the two best Eastern teams all year
Yeah.
long.
Yep.
And
Totally.
it's one of the few instances where this playoff bracket actually shapes up kind of nice, for once. But yes, the New York Rangers are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Stay
That
tuned for the round three previews.
it's fine. They made it to the conference finals. They just can't go any further than that, or else it's going to be a serious problem for all three of us.
Oh man. So we are going to move on to the other Eastern Conference series. As I mentioned, game six is tonight as we're recording this. Florida currently holds a 3-2 lead. Uh, game five. I know we were recording right before that last time. Boston ends up getting that game in a 2-1 win, and what I would call one of the gutsiest wins of the playoffs. No Marchand on the road in Florida, elimination game. It was kind of a gritty, ugly, lots of whistles type game. And the Bruins go in there and they end up taking, the biggest win of the season for them. And Swayman was terrific, stopped 28 of 29 shots. I know the big headline here is going to be this non-goalie interference call on the Charlie McAvoy goal. I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
This one was a tough one. I texted you guys about this like right after it happened. And so obviously the concern here is the player's stick and or whatever going into the goaltender skate, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So the first thing that comes to my mind is like the 3 goals that the Caps had disallowed this season for that exact thing. So once again, with the officiating, we're just looking for a little bit of consistency here. If you're going to call it one way, just call it that way all year, man. Because this whole it is goaltender interference in November, but because we're in May, it's just not thing kind of has to stop because we've seen it twice in this series now. People are going to call that a makeup call. I'm fine with the non-call. Just call it that way all year.
And to clarify, the makeup call from the non-call in game four when Bennett
Correct.
scored after the cross check, I think it was to maybe Coyle who
Yes.
ran into Swayman. So this series has just been riddled by interesting officiating. Mac, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think what Nick said is pretty spot on. Just looking for consistency. The one thing that's a little murky to me is Bob is pretty close to being outside of the blue paint. Whether he's in there or not, he's probably still got some skatage in the crease there. But I don't. I'm almost like, is he trying to get this call because he drops his stick and it doesn't really look, it looks like almost a delayed reaction. And it doesn't look like the Boston player like kind of takes the stick out of his hands. It's almost like he bumps him and then Bob can't find the puck and just like drops his stick. I don't know. It's a weird play. I totally agree with Nick where it's like, if this is just isolated and I just see this and I'm like, is this goalie interference? I'm saying no. But when I put it against the backdrop of all the other goals I've seen get called back for goalie interference, I've seen plenty reverse for less. So I'm like, yeah, I guess by NHL standards, I'm a little surprised it wasn't, but that's the way she goes.
That's really well worded. I like how you kind of use the word isolate it. I think there's a lot of people who would probably agree with that take. So Geeky and McAvoy get on the board for Boston in that game, and then Mr. Sam Reinhart with the lone tally for Florida. We've got game six coming up tonight. Florida at -150 to win that game on the road in Boston, and then Boston, the home underdogs, at +130. The last couple games been pretty low scoring, so we've got the over under at 5.5. What are your guys' initial thoughts on seeing all these odds?
I kind of have a gut feeling that the Cats are going to close this one here.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that for my picks.
I would agree with that, especially after the Paul Maurice what's the word? I guess cuss circus that you could call it.
How can we put this? Intense motivation, let's call it that.
Just an all-time presser afterwards too.
Yeah.
I love that guy. But I would probably lean Florida. These elimination games, I feel like in this series particularly, we've only had really one, but I would probably lean under. I feel like this is going to be 3-1, 4-1. I don't know.
I get that vibe. I know we started off this series with like the 6-1, 6-2 circus, but I think it's going to tighten up a lot as this goes down the stretch.
I
Yeah.
do feel like this is not an OT game. Like my crystal ball is telling me like Florida by like 3 or 4 even like, and it might be a couple empty netters or something, but that's the way I feel it. Something about this Florida team. I mean, people forget they played in the Cup final last year. How many guys are on this team that were on that team last year? Most of them, right? They
A
maybe
lot.
lost a
Yeah.
couple. This to me is a team that can taste it. They were just there. They're like, come on, we know how fucking hard it is to get back to this spot. We're pretty fucking close right now. If we can win this game tonight, focus on the Rangers. And that's another reason I think they have a chance of beating the Rangers if they can get there, is because again, they can smell blood in the water. They can taste that what they had and missed out on last year, and they're so close to getting back there. I think they're a little healthier so far this year than they were last year too. So to me, if you're in that locker room, you're thinking, boys, we almost had it last year. We're healthier. We're arguably better team this year. Um, Obviously not on paper. I know all the, you know, well, yeah, actually on paper too, because they shouldn't have even been in the playoffs last year. But besides the point, I do think this Panthers team could make some noise, but they got to get that win tonight. I don't like going to 7 against Boston. That's scary.
Lock in no goal in first 10 minutes. One of my new favorite
That's
bets.
a good one.
I feel like this game screams that. So we will be back at you sometime early next week. Um, recapping that game 6. We'll see how it shakes out. I think we're all in Florida, so it should be interesting. What could possibly go wrong, right? Like how could all three of us on the same pick
Exactly.
go poorly? We're gonna move out west. We've got Dallas versus Colorado. We've got Dallas up 3-2 in that series right now. Going back to game 4, because that happened since we last spoke, the Wyatt Johnson show. Dallas goes into Colorado and it takes both games, kicks their ass, quite frankly. Johnston had 2 goals and an assist with 8 shots on net. Miro Heiskanen, I know this is an all-time D-man battle right now. Makar has looked incredible. Heiskanen has looked incredible. They're scoring goals at will. It's pretty crazy. He had 3 goals in 4 games up to that point in the series. And in games 3 and 4 combined, both in Colorado, Dallas takes both. Ottinger stopped 52 of 54 shots in those 2 games combined. And Druin returned to the lineup after missing all of playoffs and got an assist in that game 4. So Dallas took a big 3-1 lead, which I think was a surprise to a lot of people. But man, oh man, that game 5 did not disappoint. Colorado comes storming back. They resist elimination, led by McCarr, McKinnon, and Lehkonen. Those 3 guys were money in game 5. Uh, I I just I don't have enough to say about Cale Makar. It's ridiculous what the guy's doing.
He's unbelievable right now. And I think you nailed it. Both him and Heiskanen are playing out of their minds right now. I mean, everyone has seen the graphic of, they were drafted one right after the other. So, of course, they're going to be compared to each other the entire time. But I mean, Cale Makar just went into the third period and won that game for the Colorado Avalanche. I don't really think you can slice it any other way. His production from the blue line is just unmatched, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I kind of jinxed it. I was texting my dad and my sister about how the Stars had done a really good job basically making McKinnon and McCarr kind of a non-issue so far this series. And like right after I said that is when all this shit happened. So uh yeah, I don't this is a really hard one to figure out for me to pick tonight. I really don't know what I think is gonna happen.
It is definitely tricky. I just want to say that second goal that Makar had on that 5-hole snipe, the move he put on Tyler Seguin was disgusting. I mean, he put Seguin in a blender. His back was turned the wrong way. Kind of a weaker shot from Ottinger. I think it might have gotten tipped. Um, but a weaker shot from Ottinger that he let in. But that move on Sagan, I mean, there ain't nobody in the world who's keeping up with Kale on a stop on a dime like that.
No, absolutely not. I think his ability, and Harry, I know we talked about this a couple episodes ago, but like the shots from the point that just are so accurate and just find their way through things without even hitting anyone are just unbelievable to watch.
I was thinking about this. It's almost like he's got like if you can picture the net, it's almost like he's got this like laser like radar of like where the net is, and he can see these holes through bodies, and like he knows like if he can put the puck through this exact lane, it ends up like in the top corner. If that makes any fucking sense to anyone besides me, but that's how I've been like picturing it after watching some of those goals.
I mean, that's how my pea brain can rationalize it. I mean, the guy's hockey IQ is just off the charts to be able to see that so much further ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado with 2 power play goals in this game, I believe. If you look at the score, that's the difference, right? A 5-3 win. Lehkonen gets that buzzer beater in the first period. That was huge for them. And then that McCarr goal, his first one, was also on the PP. So that makes the difference here. And I like Lehkonen, I just got to say, what a player. Every team could use this guy. His goal that he gets set up by McKinnon on before the buzzer beater, just an incredible one-timer shot. And then that fifth goal that McKinnon scores, that's all Lehkonen. He enters the zone, he crosses the ice, he gives him the little drop pass, and he puts it on a tee for McKinnon. So he played a great game. If he can do that again in game 6, I like Colorado's odds.
This one kind of strikes me as, and this is going to sound like a duh statement, whoever wins this next game is going to win this series. Obviously, if Dallas wins this next game, they clinch the series and it's over. I think if Colorado gets this one tonight, they take 7 as well.
The reason I'm having such a hard time with this is because we all know what a good team Colorado was all year at home. And then they didn't really play well in their first 2 home games of this series, right? They lost them both.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's hard to pick against, like, are they really going to lose every home game this series, even though they were that dominant at home? But then also it's like, I don't know, does that really matter as much as I'm thinking it does in my head? Like that, those are kind of the mental gymnastics I've been going through trying to figure out who's going to win this game.
This is what brain activity is like on this show in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And what a great second round it's been. We've got every series going at least 6 games. That's all you could really ask for. I mean, obviously, it would be great if every single one went 7, but maybe we'll get 1 or 2 of those. So enough of trying to figure out game 6. We're gonna put you all on the clock. Colorado, Dallas. We've got Colorado at -115, Dallas at -105. Basically a pick 'em. An over under at 6.5. What are we thinking here? Nick, I'll
Dallas,
start. Ooh, you think they close it out
I think they
in
close.
Colorado?
Yep.
Mac, what are you thinking?
Oh man. I'm gonna take Colorado to 4-7. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I'm taking, I think.
I've got a I'm so torn. My gut says Dallas wins, but my brain says you thought this series would go 7, so why don't you just pick Colorado? I'm going with my brain. It's gotta go 7. Let's go, Colorado. We need it.
All right.
We'll see. I don't feel
I'm
great
all
about
for
that
game
pick.
7.
I don't feel great about that pick. I also have no idea what kind of game this will be.
Well, the other thing is like I'm picking the Panthers for sure to win tonight. So if I pick Dallas, am I really saying none of these teams 4-7? Like I don't know.
Right.
I know that's a dumb logic because they're all separate of each other. It doesn't really matter what other teams do, but that's just
It's like a
a
law
dumb.
of averages thing.
But I
Yeah,
need one. Come
exactly.
on.
Right, right.
Yeah. You would think. Yeah, I'm gonna take Colorado. Let's see a game 7. That'll be fun. Although I don't hate that value on Dallas at all. In a pick 'em, I don't know. We'll see. Nick, over or under. Just curious what your thoughts are. 6.5 elimination game. They get kind of weird, but these guys can score.
I feel like this one goes under, but it's close,
Okay.
if that
Like
makes sense.
like 4-2, hit the
Yeah.
6. Okay. I like that. Mac, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that feels right to me. 4-2,
Like
maybe,
3-2 with an empty net.
or maybe 5-2. It's a hard one. It's right on the cusp. I would lean under, but to be honest with you, I'm not touching it.
All right. Well, we will move to our last series. Uh, this one is fun. The Canucks and the Oilers, I've said it every episode, my favorite series. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay awake for this one last night, but I did end up seeing the highlights, and I do have some comments on this. So game four, since we last spoke, the Oilers end up taking that 3-2. I asked Mac if Calvin Pickard is going to take over the starting role, and within 2 minutes of publishing the episode, man, oh man, did that come true. Mr. Picard takes over the cage and he stops 19 of 21 shots in game four for the Oilers. Evan Bouchard and Draisaitl both lead the way for the Oilers with a couple of points each. Oilers played a solid game. Canucks didn't exactly play their best game. You could probably tell by Rick Tockett's post-game quote where he said, "We need 5 or 6 guys to get going here." It feels like some of them didn't know it was the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. I end quote. Canucks only registered 21 shots compared to the Oilers 30. So Tocchet calls out his team, specifically some star players. You could probably say at Pedersen. I know the media was asking him why he isn't playing as well, and his answer was pretty much just, I don't know. So we move on to game five, and Vancouver gets an absolute gutsy win at home, a 3-2 win over the Oil. JT Miller with the game-winning goal with 31 seconds left in the third period. A wild bounce. One of those goals where you're just like, how the hell did the puck find his stick? After you see the couple of angles they showed. What are your guys' thoughts on this series so far?
Well, just like, I mean, I think you nailed it with talking about the game five bounce. I mean, if you're an Oilers fan, that's one you're going to remember for a long, long time. That game was looking like it was headed to overtime, and then JT Miller makes one of the most clutch plays of the series here. This one has been so much fun to watch. I've been making an effort to stay up and watch as many of these games or as much of these games as I possibly can. And I mean, I think the highlight for me from last night's game was Carson Soucy scoring immediately after coming back from suspension. That was incredible to see.
Yeah, great shot too.
A rip. I love that little toe drag. Just pull it into
Oh
your
yeah.
body and just let it rip. Great goal.
I mean, the Oilers were playing to their game, that Yanmark tally to make it 2-1. You know, their speed off the rush, Connor Brown with a great dish. But man, that goal, the second goal for the Canucks to Giuseppe, where he ties the game. If you're Evan Bouchard, I think it was Ekholm who dropped the puck to him. Didn't give him a whole lot of time, but the decision making on that one, man, you can't turn the puck over right in front of your net. That was
That's
pretty costly.
a video coach session for sure right there. I'm sure it was had at practice.
Yeah, so that goal really swung the momentum in my opinion. But like I said, that JT Miller winner, it's a Lindholm shot that hits off of Pedersen's foot, that hits off the post, that perfectly lands on the JT Miller's stick. And I think they panned to McDavid's face right after the goal, and you can see him just look to the sky. He's like, how the fuck did that find his stick? But here we are. The Vancouver Canucks are up 3-2 in the series, and the Oilers are on the brink. So, with that, I will ask both of you, and I believe Mac already asked this in the group chat. Maybe it was Nick, can't remember. Who's your starting goalie in game six if you're Edmonton?
That's such a hard one. I feel like they're going to go back to Skinner, but I don't know if I would. I mean, I think Pickard, whatever. I think he's played well. I don't think he's been bad in either game he played. Um, I don't know. It's one of those either way. Coach is getting blamed if they lose for his decision. So
It's absolutely one of those where after the series, you're going to look back and go, should they have or should they not have? He's basically damned if you do, damned if you don't. I would stick with Pickard personally, but obviously I'm not Chris Knobloch. So
I think I would stick with Pickard too. I mean, I don't feel like that loss was necessarily on him. You know, in a 3-2 game, and that game winner is one that's just, I don't want to say a fluke, but kind of a fluke. I'd probably rock with Pickard. I do want to just shout out. We say it every episode, but it's kind of fun to do. In 8 playoff games, Artis Shilovs, sorry, 2.62 GAA and a 907 save percentage so far in the playoffs, and he's carrying the Canucks to within one win of going to the Western Conference Finals. Here's the fun part. If they do make the third round, I believe Demko will be healthy enough to potentially come back. What do you do if you're Rick Tocchet in that situation? I mean,
not
that's
a
pretty crazy.
damn thing.
I don't think you touch it.
yeah, you don't. There's no way.
You
I
say,
don't
great, you can watch practice, you can go out there and help the boys out. Don't even go near them.
It's good that you have him back, but it's like you wait until she loves lays an egg and then maybe you switch it up, but you don't do anything preemptively.
Exactly.
So, Mr. McDavid, let's have a little chat here. He does have 6 points in 5 games through the series, but 4 of those 6 points all came in game two. He only has 1 point in the last 3 games for the Oilers. He's been held pointless twice in the last 3 games, and he was held pointless in this enormous game five series shifting game. What's going on here? Like, not trying to say he's shitting the bed, but it's certainly not what we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely one of those situations, especially in game five, where you're looking up and down the bench and you're just kind of expecting that guy to have 1 to 3 points in a clutch game like that. I think it's just a tribute to the Canucks, though. They've played this guy so well defensively. I know he exploded for those, what would you say, 4 points in game two or game three, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Oilers, you probably need him to have incredible back-to-back games here if you want to win this series.
Would you say that out of all the series going on, this is the one most likely to go seven?
I honestly have no idea who's going to win this series. I know the Canucks have a 3-2 series lead. I feel like it is absolutely still a coin flip right now.
I would agree. I also think I'm a little scared of Leon right now. That man is man possessed. He has been
Yeah.
just wheeling this team every game. I kind of feel like he's going to go off and tie this series next game. And then I don't know. This is one for me. It's if you're the Canucks, you have to find a way to shut this down next game because I don't like their chances whatsoever in a game seven against the Oilers.
No, I feel like when it comes down to one game, like the Canucks have a lot of good players, don't get me wrong, but there's two guys on the Oilers. You put one game in their hands and it's like you don't know what they can do.
Exactly. They can just take over, whether that's, Leon could go out and just have a hat trick by himself in one period, and that's all the Oilers need.
So we've got the game six odds up right here. I've got Edmonton. They're on home ice, so obviously that's going to throw a little more juice their way. Minus 195 for the Oilers. Huge favorites. Canucks at plus 160 underdogs. Got the over under at 6.5.
I dabble on the Nux money line there. Might as well. 1 unit, half a unit, whatever you please.
Well, it would be kind of funny if we went seven and the Oilers win it, and the Vancouver just has a little bit of unrest, if you will.
Dude, a game seven in this series is win-win for everyone that's not an employee of either city.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah. Uh, Game six, Max says dabble Vancouver. I don't disagree with that. However, I do think Edmonton will pull that one off. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Going seven.
Ooh, okay then. You said Canucks in seven from the start. That was your pick.
Yep, I think so.
Me and Mac had Oilers in six, so we're spoiled. But Mr. Manella over here, the sharp, calling it. So let's see how that one works out. All right, that about does it for our recaps. We're going to go into the gambling segment, little trivia, and then we'll get you all out of here. Reminder that this gambling segment is brought to you by Prop Tracker. It's your one-stop shop for outlier bets for NFL, NBA, NHL, and more. They even have golf now, which is pretty crazy. You can use this app to find shots, rebounds, receptions, anything you want, plus money, heavy odds, you name it. They track it, sends you a notification to your phone when you program it to do so. Some of these stats I'll read here momentarily all come from us from Prop Tracker. So go download the app. You can use the link in our bio to get a free month on us. Only two props here that I would say to keep an eye on. These are really the only ones that have some decent value with the remaining teams. Casey Middlestat, he's been pretty good for the Avs so far this series. He's got points in 3 of 5 games so far in this series. You can usually get him to get a point around plus 110 or even money, depending on home or away ice. And then Jamie Benn, he's been pretty good in this series as well. Plus 155 to register an assist. He's hit that in 3 of 5 in this series. And also the same thing for a point. You can get minus 120 to register a point. He's hit that in 3 of 5 this series as well. Kind of like the assist one more. I don't think he has a goal yet in this series. I could be wrong on that, but that plus 155 on an assist is juicy.
I don't have any odds for this in front of me, but I'm sure Prop Tracker does, so go check it out. But J-Rob assist props are great right now. I know everyone thinks of him as a sniper, but he's kind of turned into the playmaker for the Dallas Stars. I mean, we saw that setup he had on the Heiskanen goal, so I'd definitely take a look at that as well.
Yeah, definitely some good value there for J-Rob assists. I think I don't have the odds in front of me. I would probably predict somewhere between even money and minus 140, somewhere in that range. So a lot better than taking it for a point because that's going to be outrageous. But yeah, go check that out. So that does it for our gambling segment. Mr. Mac, I believe you have trivia for us.
Sure do. And before we get to that, just a reminder that trivia is sponsored by Elwood's Liquor and Tap. So support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street. This 70s inspired bar has a little something for everybody, from daily happy hour, rotating taps, free birthday perks, and a 4-season patio. A good time is always around the corner at Elwood's. And as I've said before, I will probably be there at some point tomorrow. So come say hi.
Got to cash in on the perks, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think you get like a free beer, free shot, and then like a birthday mug or something like that to keep. So,
Hell yeah.
all right, this one is we're going back to our roots with a this day in hockey history. I like this one a lot. So on May 17th, 2011, this player tied an NHL playoff record for rookies for most points in a period. He scored 2 goals and 2 assists during the second period of the Bruins 6-5 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. He became just the second rookie to ever have 4 points in the same period and the first teenager to do so.
I got it, but I want Nick to have a chance.
I think I got it too. Go ahead.
Is it Mr. Sagan?
Sure is.
Nice.
Little bit of a slam dunk, but it seemed topical being that the Bruins are in the postseason and so is Tyler Seguin. So
Wow, that was 2011.
I
That was
know that
Yep.
was tripping me up too. People forget like how young and good he was. It's pretty amazing
Yeah.
the career he's had, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, he was 19 years old when he was doing that. It's pretty nuts.
Him and Hall were drafted 1 and 2, and he basically just went right in for the Bruins and just did not miss a step.
It'd be a pretty funny storyline if the Stars and the Bruins met in the Cup final. A little parallel there. That'd be
That
fun.
would be not going to happen though.
Probably not, though. Uh, all right. Well, appreciate everybody listening. Thank you for tuning in. Do you guys have any final notes before we get on out of here?
I'm all set.
Enjoy the hockey on this fine Friday night and weekend. We'll get back to you early next week with some round 3 previews, maybe some game 7 previews if the Canucks can, or if the Oilers can push it to that. But without further ado,
Class dismissed.